Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Geography Now, Germany. Let's see.
You know why I'm smiling. Yep, Germany has a lot of territorial anomalies. We'll get into that in a little bit, but first, Germany is located in central Western Europe,
smiling?
bordered by 9 other countries.
I don't know.
is he part German?
Don't forget little Luxembourg, a small coast on the North and Baltic Seas, which they own about 50 small islands. Now, Germany, like the US, is a federal republic which has 16 smaller states, or Bundesländer, each with its own constitution, 3 of which are cities, the capital Berlin, Hamburg, and Bremen, which is actually kind of like 2 cities, including Bremerhaven on the coast, but they kind of act like one entity. Fun side note, Lower Saxony is actually geographically situated further north.
I didn't know the other countries in that too.
The states?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I
didn't know they do that. Like in Lithuania, they do that?
we call them municipalities, not states. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. Well, Lithuania is a small country, right? No need of... I don't know. I guess I always assumed you had like some sort of municipality sense. I didn't know about states either, but
Yeah.
my question is, because the word state is one thing, but are they states like here in the sense that they have separate governments, they're independent from each other, only like when it comes to certain things they become?
Yeah, that's what I
because
mean.
how the states are here, they're basically independent. Like honestly, a fair comparison to be like USA to Europe, and then for example Florida to, let's say, Italy, because each state kind of has its own government. It's a separate, only like in certain issues.
Yeah.
When you cross the state lines, it becomes like a federal government. Like that's the government of the United States that deals with it. Everything like within Florida, for example, it's really like its own country. So that's, I guess my question to you guys is, in Germany, and not just Germany, France that has states, Brazil has states. So in those countries, I wonder, are states separate entities whereas like one law in one state and is the different law in another state? Or is it the same laws across the country but they just call states? Because then it's not like states that how we understand it. They're states in the sense of like separation of like to me it's more like municipalities. That's how, because I don't know if Germany has different laws for different, I don't know. Guys, let us know. I don't know.
North than regular Saxony. Now let's jump into the fun stuff. Now, we already discussed the Jungholz Quadrupoint and the Vennbahn railway enclaves with Belgium and Austria. However, there's a few more. The entire town of Bussingen am Hochrhein is surrounded by Switzerland, whereas part of the Constance is cut off by the Rhine.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Wow. So, interesting.
And river and surrounded by Switzerland. However, immediately across the river, a small patch of empty land on the German side actually belongs to Switzerland. Finally, they split the island of Usedom with Poland in the north. Germany is interesting because every state in the country has its own distinct culture, dialect.
That's so interesting. I didn't know these things. Wow. Okay.
History, food, traditions. I mean, the variants will be quite drastically different from Schleswig-Holsteiners. Mecklenburg-Vorpommern will be different from Saarland. This all has to do with ancient and recent history. Basically, in the quickest way I can summarize this, Germanic tribes, Roman wars, Charlemagne, 3 kingdoms, this Tiberius and Italian, creating a whole new mess called the Holy Roman Empire, made up of 300 smaller separate kingdoms, states, and dukedoms, which had nothing to do with Romans. Teutonic Knights, Brandenburgs became Prussia, Habsburgs became Austrians, Lithuanians and Poles made their own thing, whereas the Hungarians joined the Austrians. Wars, battle.
We were powerful back in the day. Listen, we were the shit, okay? Back in the day.
Napoleon comes over and messes everything up, and finally German nationalism surges, and in 1871 Otto von Bismarck creates the first proto-German unified state. And then they're all like, oh dang, we came late to this game. We gotta scramble for some colonies. And that's how all of these countries at one point spoke German. Oh, and also keep in mind, 300 years before this, a German banking company obtained colonial rights to Venezuela for like 20 years. They were looking for the lost city of El Dorado. So technically, you can kind of say Germans colonized the Americas, but it wasn't like a nationalized conquest thing. Fast forward even more, and then you get World War I, the monarchy ends, Treaty of Versailles, they lose land, Nazis come in, World War II, Germany splits in 2 for about 40 years, and then finally, we get the Germany we have today. East Germany, consisting of these states, is today still quite different from the rest of Germany as it was first occupied and influenced by the Soviet Union. They are generally not as well off economically as the rest of the country, as you can still see the blocky Soviet-style buildings sprawled throughout the regions. In fact, the city of Berlin was split in half, and the west side was actually an enclave of West Germany, only accessible by train train and highway. You can even see
Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Oh, okay.
from a satellite image the divide. East Berlin still uses the yellowish tinted sulfur vapor light bulbs, whereas the West still uses fluorescent and mercury arc white tinted light bulbs.
That's
The funny thing is, although Berlin
That's
is the
so
largest city in Germany,
interesting.
This is the best geography now video have you seen? I feel like I'm learning
That's
a lot.
interesting details.
Yeah, because these geography now videos, I don't be liking them too much, but this one is pretty good so far. Okay.
the busiest airports are actually Frankfurt, Munich, Dusseldorf, with Berlin Tegel ranking at number 4. Otherwise, some top notable landmarks and spots would be the Brandenburg Gate, the Valhalla, Cologne Cathedral, the Ulminster
the
Church, the
cathedral?
tallest in the world, the Berlin Victory Column, and hundreds of castles all over. The most notable
Yes,
one
we've seen a lot of castles.
Neuschwanstein, the
Yeah.
concept behind Disney's
That's
Cinderella Castle.
impressive.
Germany also has over 400 zoos, more than any other country in the world. And of course, everybody knows about the autobahn, the
Yes,
highway
we do.
system, in which if you see this sign, it means there's no speed limit. And it's like that for a huge portion of the roadway. And no wonder, considering
Yes.
how vast and wide those
That's where you take the Lambo and you just press on gas.
I don't
and
go there.
And you just go.
I stay out the way.
Or better yet, a Bugatti.
I
You
stay
just
out the
go.
way.
Just
I
go.
want to
And if
see
you crash,
it. Is there,
you die.
is there a
You just
YouTube
die.
video? I want to
Yeah,
see it.
I would think
I
so.
want to
Driving
see
on
it.
autobahn.
I want to
Guys,
see it.
leave some recommendations. There's
I
a
want
good
to see
video.
it because I know I'm not gonna go in person. I just want to see it. I want to see if they really go
Countryside,
fast.
yes.
No, people go.
How fast do you think they go?
There's no limit.
Yeah, but then no, be reasonable.
Be reasonable.
Be reasonable.
I think most people probably do like 110 miles an hour, like 120 maybe. Some people, daredevils, they probably go to max whatever the car goes. But I think most people
Wow.
they go fast, but they go like within reason, right? So I would say like
I would
100 miles, which is like about 160 kilometers per hour. So
Where does it take you? It you like
no,
from.
it's like a highway.
It's just but highway, but to go where?
I don't know.
But normal people don't go there.
Yeah, they do.
But there's people going fast, so you have to get
Yes.
out the way.
That lane has to be empty.
Oh, it's only one. Oh,
No.
there's multiple.
There is multiple lanes. So the grandma stay in the right lane,
Okay, yes.
and then the left lane is always open. So go. You just go.
I would love to see it. I never seen anything
Guys,
like that.
what speed do you drive in autobahn? Let us know.
Time for
That's
level 2.
interesting. What's the purpose of
Feliz
that?
no
I
se
like
queda.
it.
Quiere.
So you-
Luego adopten
the
un
issue-
cielo
Only
en
there?
base. El
Yes, only in
complejo
Germany.
Petit de Pâté.
Because the issue with the speed, it's not the speed that kills. It's change of speed. So when the grandma
But you can lose
switch a
control.
lane, if you're driving straight, you're not gonna lose control. If you're not distracted,
I
you're
need
just
to
driving
see.
straight. The problem is when people they're driving slow and they change lane. That's what they actually. If everybody's going fast, there's no danger. It's just stupid people when they switch a lane and they're going slow. That's when shit happens.
Think of it this way: in Germany,
You get
the
a
more
ticket?
down you go, the
There's
more
no tickets,
up you
there's no
move.
speed
Basically,
limit.
Germany
No, so
lies
you're
on the
not supposed to be
Atlantic
in that,
Shelf
like,
in the
people
north.
who
Yes.
It starts with the mud flats in the North Sea. Seriously, this island right here is accessible only for a few hours by foot until the tide comes and floods everything. Then everything just kind of creeps up into the Alps in the south by Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg, with the highest mountain,
I want to see
Südspitze,
Autobahn.
located right along the border with Austria. Kind of like France, Germany is filled with a vast irrigating network of rivers like the Spree, Elbe, Weser, Rhine, and of course the mighty Danube that starts here. About a third of the land is arable and another third is woodland, and after a millennia of civilization, Germans have cultivated the crap out of their country. Most agriculture, of course, happens in the North Flat Plains and the central regions of the country, which is, by the way, kind of like Europe's tornado alley. Due to its position sandwiched between the Arctic blasts of Scandinavia and the moist, warm jet streams of the Mediterranean below, Germany can be an atmospheric war zone in the summer. There are more tornadoes on average in Germany than any other country in Europe. Speaking of flat farmland,
That's interesting. I didn't know that, but I wonder still how that compares to Kansas, for example, because Europe doesn't really. I don't know Europe having tornadoes like that. So saying Germany has more country than Europe. So if Europe whole gets 10 tornadoes, Germany has 11. That So I kind of wonder how it compares to Kansas.
I didn't really had.
Tornadoes?
It was impressive.
I didn't know. I mean, Lithuania gets tornado like once every 3 years, like a baby tornado. So you count it as a tornado, but so that's why I wonder like what's the statistics of that.
and Germany is the world's largest rye and hop producer. Germans abso-freaking-lutely love their bread. There are over 300
Yes.
different kinds of bread in the country.
We love bread
more
over
types
here,
than
too.
any other country in the world, and almost every meal incorporates some kind of slice or small bun or brötchen of bread. Hast du gluten-free? Nein! Germans are heavy meat eaters, specifically pork. They basically know every possible way to cook a pig. Over 50 different types of sausage exist.
We've seen that.
alongside schnitzels, rouladen, sauerbraten, Schweinsachse, and at a big party you might
Oh,
find Spanfer.
this was
Beer reigns
huge.
supreme all over as the third largest consumers of beer after the Czech Republic. with their
Honestly,
president.
Now I'm reacting. I kind of like Germany.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of.
How do you know
I
you
don't
like
know
it? What do you like?
I like the foods. I like the culture.
Honestly, I feel like I've seen the same thing over and over, but maybe
I
it's
like
a
it.
popular thing,
I
like
like
bread, schnitzel.
I like it, but I do not like the weather. That's the only downside. But apart from that, I kind of like it. It's really good.
Has no problem with public intoxication, and Austria. Germany is world renowned for their beer, which, by the way, follows the Reinheitsgebot rule, in which they are only allowed to use water, hops, malt, and sometimes yeast. Nonetheless, about 1,300 breweries exist, pumping out over 5,000 brands. The oldest continuously existing brewery in the world, started by Benedictine monks in 1040 AD, can be found here. Germany takes the environment very seriously, and for the past 2 decades...
I don't drink beer like that, but for sake of research, it would be interesting to do like a beer tour of Germany to kind of compare different beers. That would be pretty cool.
I want to have like the cider, apple cider.
Oh, I'm sure they have those too.
Going on a major green revolution. As of today, they have the largest installed solar power capacity, and green infrastructure practices like home installed turbines and solar panels have seen a huge surge in the past 10 years. Forests dominate the southern regions where the landscape gets hillier and mountainous, the most famous one being the Black Forest or the Schwarzwald in Baden-Württemberg. Deer, bears, boar, foxes, badgers, and the national animal, the eagle, can be found thriving in these parts. Nonetheless, economically, Germany is known mostly for their exceptional engineering and industry production. Companies we've all heard of like Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Audi, Telecom, Nivea, THL, Bosch, Adidas, Puma, Adidas, Puma! Yeah, it's kind of like the whole Biscoito Bolacha thing from Brazil. Remember? Well, we have mudflats, tornadoes, pork, beer, mountains. All that's missing is people. Level 3.
Want luminous skin year-round? It's not rocket science. It's our skin science.
Fun little side note, in Germany, this is 3, not this. Now, if the EU was a fam...
Yes, remember I talked about this, how you showed 3? I remember how I said they recognized Nazi in the movie? Because he showed 3 like...
Oh, yes, yes.
No.
I do this.
I do like this. I do like this. You do this, yeah. Or like something like that. What was the movie called? Fuck. I said in the other reaction, I remember the name. Whatever.
And you say...
No, like the way you showed it, like that's how they showed the 3. That's how they recognized he wasn't. I think
he was a spy.
He wasn't part of the Allies. One of the, whatever. There was a way to show it, and he showed it the other culture way. And he.
Which
that's
was
how,
this way?
I don't remember exactly which. There's 2 ways. This, and this, and he. That's what he was referring to in the movie. Oh, what's it called? I don't remember. Whatever.
Germany would kind of be like the dad who got out of rehab, reconciled with his wife and kids, and is taking his new life very seriously as he is haunted by the demons of his past every day. First of all, the country has about 82 million people and is the most populated in the EU, second most in Europe after Russia, and has the 4th largest nominal GDP in the world. About 80% of the country identifies as ethnically German, 12% other Europeans, mostly Polish, Italian, Dutch, and so on. Turks make up about 3.5%, Asians at 2%, and the rest...
This is old video. Yeah, guys, if you have current statistics, let me know, because I know there's a lot of like immigration going on in Europe right now.
Are made up of other groups like Africans and Americans. Also, they use the euro, they use the C and F type outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Germany is without a doubt a global powerhouse. It is the strongest economy in the EU and makes up about 16% of the union's population. It's the 3rd largest exporter and importer of goods in the world. After the United States, Germany is also the 2nd most popular global migration destination. Germany experiences a high standard of living, tuition-free universities, if you get accepted that is, a mostly government-subsidized universal healthcare system, about a quarter is still privatized, and state pension for retirement at age 65. Now, when it comes to language, things get a little tricky. Each state kind of has their own type of German. However, to get by, most Germans learn how to speak Hochdeutsch, or High German, which is the standard dialect. The European Charter, however, protects the minority languages of Frisian, Danish, Romani, Sorbian, which is like a Slavic-based language used along the Czech-Polish border, and Plattdeutsch, or Low German, which has similarities to Dutch and is typically used by the Amish and Mennonite communities across the world. In terms of regional distinctions, though, Germany is kind of divided into 5 cultural areas: Rhineland, East and Middle Deutschland, North Deutschland, Baden-Württemberg, and Bavaria. Rhineland is on the west side and has a culture somewhat more influenced by France, more Catholic, carnival celebration.
Bavaria cream.
Bavarian cream, yeah. Beer, I think, 2 Bavarian beer.
I think this one's the most popular, because I always hear this one.
are huge out here. East and Middle Germany was the part that used to be its own country for 40 years as it was influenced by the Soviets. Sorbians can also be found here too. Northern Germany has a coastal sea culture that identifies closer with Denmark and the Netherlands. They're also known for being kind of quiet and reserved. Baden-Württemberg has an interesting Swabian culture where they speak a dialect so thick that only about 40% of it is intelligible to other Germans. And then you have Bavaria, which is where the Americanized, perpetuated stereotypes about Germany came from, with lederhosen, dirndls, half-timber, beer houses, and cuckoo clocks. For the record, Germans are sick of those stereotypes. It's like saying all Americans are cowboys with guns and horses. Speaking of stereotypes, some of the stereotypes in Germany include things like Saxons being very indecisive, Berliners are always bragging about themselves, Swabians are stingy, Bavarians drink too much, Hessians talk too much, Holsteiners don't talk enough, and so on. Words differ from regions too. For example, in High German, you would say Auf Wiedersehen, but in Bavarian, you would say Fertig Gott. In Kölsch, you would say Tschüss, and in Rhineland, you might say adios. And there's so many compound words to get
Adios and choose is kind of like ciao. So I get it.
Long and complicated, like Rindfleisch, Etikettierungs-, Überwachungsaufgaben, Übertragungsgesetz. This is because many words are merkwürdig, or ambiguous words, that are kind of elongated to give off an extensive meaning. Germans have very vivid imaginations and make up words for everything. Like my favorite word, Backpfeifengesicht. Not this time. By the way, for the record, this letter makes a double S sound. However, spelling reformers have tried to decrease the usage of this letter in recent years, which has led to some protests. Germans also love dubbing everything from foreign media into German. Some like this, some don't, but either way, it's here to stay. About 60% of the country identify...
I mean, it makes sense dubbing if people don't speak a foreign language. In Lithuania too, they dub everything. I thought that was universal.
What does that mean, dubbing?
Well, like for example, when we watch Netflix, it's dubbed, right? Because they show in English, even though like the original, let's say in Spanish, they speak English, you know. So, because the alternative is listen to the original, but it's captions. It's just you have to sit there at the screen reading the titles. You know, it takes a while. Like you can't like really do anything else. You have to like be glued to the screen to read it.
At least nominally as Christians, split between Protestants and Catholics. Germany was even the birthplace of the Protestant Reformation, split from the Catholic Church by Martin Luther. Otherwise, the rest are mostly agnostic or irreligious, with a noticeable community of Muslims, mostly from the huge Turkish and Middle Eastern communities, at about 5%, as well as a few Jews, Buddhists, and Hindus rounding up the remainder 1%. To kind of get a feel of what it's like to be German, you kind of have to understand where they've come from. After World War II, they kind of had a lot of work to do. However, it wasn't until the mid-50s and early 60s that the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic wonder, happened, to which almost everybody got to work. Basically, this guy envisioned and implemented a social market economy combined with free market capitalism alongside socialist policies that established fair competition in a welfare state. GDP increased by 80%, investments by 120%, labor forces were utilized to the maximum. Things started to get better. In Germany, all children are corralled into general public schools until age 10, when they are given the option to enroll in 3 different types of middle schools. Gymnasium, geared towards focusing on higher linguistic, mathematics, and science fields for universities. Realschule, a middle ground type of school, and Hauptschule, a school that is geared towards helping kids that seem to show promise in specific vocation or trade.
That's so early though. We have that in Lithuania, but not in middle schools, for high school. That's so early.
I don't understand.
Well,
it's like additional, or
no. You get to pick a school. Like you pick your trajectory for career, basically. But middle school, that's so early. All you want to do is play with toys at that point.
Oh. I thought it was like maybe like
extracurricular. No. It's main school, main education. That's so early. Because like what? Middle school is what? 12 years old? 11? You don't know what you want in life at that point. I guess then you go to that middle ground. I guess. Unless if you like super smart, you go to the gymnasium. But the question is then who picks to go to a vocational school at 11, 12 years old? That's so early.
Germany also has the largest music market in the EU and the 3rd in the world after the US and Japan. They love preserving their heritage and culture through music and art. In fact, there are around 130 national orchestras, mostly supported by public money, and artists get a 50% reduction in health insurance through a special type of offering.
That's really impressive, because here we always complain how the arts are vanishing because of decreasing funding. There is the opposite. They invest in that.
One thing that still kind of supposedly maintains itself in Germany is the mindset of Vergangenheitsverweigerung. Totally butchered that, which kind of translates to a lingering sense of guilt from the past. Germans have reportedly some of the lowest levels of national pride, and unless if you're at a soccer game, chances are you will almost never see anyone holding a German flag or waving it in any kind of like patriotic setting. It's weird, but it's kind of how things are. monster. They've made great strides to move on from the past. Nazi flags and Mein Kampf are incredibly illegal items to own in Germany. They even have a rule, the Volksverhetzung, which basically says you cannot talk trash by denying the past atrocities. Some people say this infringes on free speech, others say it's good because it solidifies truth. Otherwise, some notable Germans throughout history include Charlemagne, although he was a Frank, but I guess it kind of counts. Albrecht, Dürer, David Friedrich, Gutenberg, Bach, Beethoven, Karl Benz, Albert Einstein, although Americans would like to claim that he moved to the US and became an American. Johannes Kepler, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Friedrich Schiller, Michael Schumacher, Alex von Humboldt, and of course Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels co-founded Marxism. But one thing Germans do best would have to be diplomacy. To this day, the German passport holds the most visa-free nations out of any other country in the world, just beating Sweden. Therefore, you...
Really? Okay. For whatever reason, I thought it was Japan, but I guess I'm tripping.
And kind of conclude that Germany kind of knows how to relate to people. Let's find out how in the final round, level 4.
Year after year,
Very interesting video. A lot of stuff, and this one is good
while
one.
plaque can...
Germany knows how to make friends. They have over 220 diplomatic missions abroad and over 350 honorary consuls and have an incredibly high position of authority in the EU. Their closest African friend would probably be Namibia. As a former German colony way back in the 19th century, Namibia held on relations, and to this day, German is still a recognized language in Namibia. Germans have been supporting and sharing ties both economically and ideologically for over a century. India and South Korea are really close friends in Asia. India supported both East and West Germany during the Cold War, and after reunification, they were like, woohoo, even better! And Germany is to South Korea what Japan is to France. They love to piggyback off of each other's ideas and cultures, especially in the automotive industry. Many South Koreans were sent to Germany after the Korean War to work abroad and study, and Germans have been growing in fascination with visiting South Korea. The US is probably the closest ally outside of the EU. About 30% of Americans claim German heritage, and after World War II, the Marshall Plan allowed the US to give post-war aid to Germany, which helped kickstart the economic recovery. Germany was a key figure in the formation of the State of Israel after World War II, which after the Holocaust left an obligation to invest in the building up of a Jewish community. Turkey is probably the closest Middle Eastern ally, as the Turks make up the largest Asian demographic in Germany, although many of them may or may not also identify as Kurds. But since Kurds don't have a state of their own, they usually go under Turkish passports when immigrating and are documented as such. Their best friends, however, would probably be literally all their neighbors. The thing is, Germany is kind of like Bosnia and Herzegovina, in which by default, they kind of get friends based off of the regional alliances. Bavarians get along with Austrians, Baden-Württembergs get along with Switzerland, East Germany has good relations with the Slavic countries, the Rhine states love Belgium, Luxembourg, and France, and the north side loves the Netherlands and Denmark. France, though, is kind of like the trophy wife of Germany, as the two have had an angry start, but then eventually fell in love and worked together beautifully. France is like the beautiful, flashy spokesperson for the EU that stands in the spotlight as Germany stands in the background, managing all the money and logistical work. In conclusion,
That's so cute.
although Germanic peoples have existed for thousands of years, an actual unified German state didn't appear until kind of recently, and the brief time that they've been around, they've kind of gone through some of the most intense, world-revolutionizing historical events possibly imagined. Yet, they've come out working hard and building their way up to become a world superpower. You gotta give it to them. There's something about the Germans. And with that, final boss level complete. Stay tuned!
Nice. Good video. I enjoyed this one.
Guys, of course, this is a long one too. Usually now...
Yeah, it's about 10 to 12 minutes. This one is
this was good.
15
really
minutes.
nice.
This was in depth. I like this.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord and the Toys. Share as much kindness as possible.